Hi, everyone. This is Svava Brooks. Welcome again. I'm so happy that you're joining us here for the Journey to the Heart interview series, where we are talking about we're talking about and sharing how to really thrive after trauma by loving your body, your mind, and your spirit. And I'm having the pleasure and the privilege of talking to amazing experts who are really sharing from their passion and are sharing with us their unique approach to thriving. So I want to welcome today a very special guest. Welcome, Bobby. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Svava. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And so good of you to take the time. So before we go into our chat, I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about something that we feel like is very, very important to the healing journey for both of us, right? I want to introduce our audience. I'll tell our audience a little bit about you.
Okay.
So Bobby is a trauma recovery coach who specializes in working with survivors of childhood abuse. As a survivor of childhood sexual abuse herself, Bobby has the heart to bring recovery, hope, and healing to others who have endured childhood abuse. She has a private coaching practice and hosts not one, but 2 chats each week for survivors of childhood sexual abuse. This is on Twitter. And she founded the No More Shame Project to advocate for all survivors. And she's the founder of Trauma Recovery University, where she provides resources and teaches classes on recovery from abuse. She also has an active YouTube channel and Roku TV channel with more than 30 hours of content for survivors. That's amazing. And your book, Healing from Abuse, is available on your website. And then you also have a memoir, Fly Away Girl.
Yes.
You are such a busy woman. I don't know where you find all the time, but you certainly are a blessing to all the people that you're out there touching. So thank you. But our topic of discussion today, Bobby, why don't you tell us why this is important to you?
You bet. What I want to talk about today is compassion. And, I've been working with survivors for 18 years as a therapist and then transitioning into being a coach. And before that, I was on my own recovery journey and probably spent a good 10 to 15 years in my own recovery process. And as I have worked with people, and especially in the last 2 years, as I've worked online, my business partner and I now have a community of about 18,000 people in 55 countries. And we're so excited to be reaching so many people. But as we work with so many people, it's hard not to see things filter down into what are the really important things for us to do in recovery in order to feel good as fast as possible. And not just a temporary feel good, but this is a permanent shift in my being, and I'm going to be whole, I'm going to be happy, there's going to be joy in my life. And one of those things that is to me is just so critical, Svava, is compassion. We absolutely, and I tell the survivors I work with, either the groups I work with or if I work with them one-on-one, if you want to get better faster, if you want to get better easier, develop compassion. Compassion for yourself and compassion for others. And the definition of compassion is a deep awareness, not just a shallow awareness, but a deep awareness of the suffering of others and a desire to alleviate it. And as survivors, we can have good compassion for other people, but it's for ourselves where things fall apart. And that's directly related to our childhood abuse, because chances are high that when we were being abused, especially if we were abused within our family of origin and over a longer period of time, We were taught that we weren't worthy,
Mm-hmm.
that we were pretty much good for being abused. And sometimes that was about it. We had no other value. And we carry that forward into adulthood. And sometimes we blame ourselves for the abuse. And when a survivor looks at themselves and says, wow, I caused somebody else to abuse me. How kind of worth can I have? That time and time again, that recovery comes back to that compassion piece. When I work with survivors who have eating disorders or alcohol and drug addiction issues, which I understand because they're trying to soothe their pain.
Yes.
Compassion. Once they can really grab compassion and hold on to it and own it for themselves, then it's much easier to heal the issues that are causing them to reach for drugs, alcohol, food. It seems like everywhere I come, when I circle back around with a client, it's like, well, how much compassion do you feel for yourself? None. Okay, let's work on that. And we just come back. We just cycle back through it again and again and again.
Exactly, because it's kind of a layer.
It is.
It's you go deeper every round.
Yes.
And the hardest part in the beginning is even just the concept, because they grew up where this was normal. This is all what they were good for, right?
Right.
To blame, and no one modeled what this even looked like. So
right.
Sure, they look to you to model for them what does that concept even look and feel like, because it's very much something that you need to go inside to feel the compassion. It's not an exercise, right?
No, it's not. And this is one of the reasons why I am so huge on survivors needing to be in community with other survivors. And that's why we hold the Twitter chats. That's why we have our secret Facebook support groups, to bring survivors into community with one another, because there are few people who can have compassion for a survivor more than another survivor can. So they, like you said, they see it modeled. And once they can feel compassion towards other people, then you can say, okay, now you know what it feels like. Now let's see what it looks like to have compassion for yourself. To say, you know what, I deserve to be loved. I deserve to have purpose and peace in my life. I deserve to have a job that I love. I deserve to have healthy relationships. I deserve to have a healthy body. I deserve to have a healthy relationship with my higher power. Because until you can really grab onto the fact that you deserve those and you're entitled, it's really hard to have them.
Yes, exactly.
And so it's a foundational piece. It has to be there. Can you recover without it? Yeah. Is it going to be really, really hard? Yeah. Is it a chance going to be that the progress you make doesn't stick? Yeah.
Yes, because
it's so important, Svava.
Exactly, because like you said, we need that modeling, we need that support, and I'm such a huge fan of support groups and community as well. I mean, I often say, if you're doing nothing else but showing up in a community where people are speaking about this, because that's where you just need to start, because your outside world, or your real world may be the community that you're still dependent on, where people would rather not that you realize how valuable you are and that you are a kind, generous, loving person, right? Because once you get in touch with that, it kind of rocks the boat for others on the outside.
It does.
But it's, again, allowing that connection piece, but it's not until we see it in others that it's like, oh, so that's what that looks like.
Right. And that's what this feels like. You know, for survivors, emotions usually went one of two ways when they were children. Either emotions were a bad thing because people in their house raged on a constant basis, or for many of the survivors I work with, they had one or the other parent who was mentally ill. And so there was often unresolved issues of depression or anxiety. And they either had to hide from that or they had to step up into a parenting role and parent their own parent or take care of siblings. And so emotions usually weren't anything that were real pleasant. And so to take a survivor and say, I want you to feel compassion, to get them in touch with what that feels like is sometimes very scary. Emotions can be very, very frightening for survivors.
Yes.
And like you said, that when we feel compassion for someone, we have a connection to them. And connection can be frightening. Because if I connect to you, then I can be kind of vulnerable. And you could leave me. But that's another one of those benefits of being in community with survivors, is it lets us practice that behavior with people who are on the same road we're on. Yes. So that, okay, I'm going to practice this in community. I'm going to develop my sense of compassion for others and for myself. Now I've got a good handle on it, and I can take that out into the quote unquote real world. So it gives us that place to practice in a safe community.
Yeah.
And really, you know, I keep coming back to that word, own it. But, you know, when you own it, heart and head, then it's pretty hard to shake.
Yes. And I think it also gives people, you know, the connection to hurt. That, you know, they see that in others when someone is being courageous and kind towards them, you know, connecting with them, right? They're like, you know, it's like, wow, this person is taking a risk by reaching out to me and expressing what they see in me and that they actually care about me. And then, of course, maybe the survivor, this was definitely me in the beginning. It's like, no, I don't need you. I don't need anything. You know, I'm good over here. But, you know, yeah, I'll listen to you. But no, I'm good. I got this contained right here, right now. But then the more you see the other people benefit from allowing someone supporting you, you're like, wait a minute, I want some of that.
Yeah.
Hey, I need some of that. And then, of course, a little inner battle. But, you know, we've gotten hurt when we've opened up before. You know, we let someone in and we've gotten hurt. How do we know this won't be the same, you know? So it's that practice in this safe environment where we're not going to hurt you, and we're going to practice. And also, you know, feel courageous. Like, wow, I've been through a lot. I can't believe I'm still here. And sometimes we can acknowledge others before we can take in that same acknowledgement, right?
Exactly. And so, like you said, seeing it, practicing it, trying it out, and realizing, hey, wait a minute, this isn't a bad thing. I kind of like this. It is just, it's so amazing. And you know, that love for yourself is one of those things, I call them slippery truths, Svava, because it's like trying to hold on to a bar of soap, you know, and it squirts out of your hands. And, you know, I can't get it from my heart to my head. You know, my head knows I should care about myself. My heart, not so much. And so we're trying to grab it and reach it, but we can have a hard time holding on to it because it is the exact opposite of what we were taught as a child.
Exactly. And we're hardwired to that defense, right? That our brain just goes right back there. And if anybody, you know, because, you know, some of us were abused under the cover of love.
Yes.
Under the cover of, I'm here to take care of you. This is, you can trust me and all that. So our brain and body just naturally wants to shut down and close up and disconnect. But it's recreating or creating for some of us for the very first time, the new wiring to connecting with others. It's also how we are connecting to ourselves.
Exactly. And sometimes it's easier for survivors to develop compassion for others. Well, it's often easier for them to develop compassion for others before they develop it for themselves. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with letting them do that because it's safe. Mm-hmm. But it's a stepping stone. It's one step closer to where they need to be, which is compassion towards themselves. Yes. And the wonderful thing about, I run 4 groups a week for survivors. And the most wonderful thing is to have them show up and say, I feel lousy today. I'm good for nothing. And immediately I can have 4 or 5 people hop up and say, wait a minute. You remember last week when I was so upset about my dog passing away? You were so kind to me. Mm-hmm. You were so supportive of me. And so that survivor can try and reorient their thinking. Mm-hmm. Because it's not I'm not invested in you remembering that you did something good because it'll give me something. I'm invested in you feeling good about yourself because it's the best thing for you. And so when we can get this sense of reminder of how much we have grown, how much compassion we have shown from people who aren't invested in wanting to manipulate us or abuse us, it makes it more real.
Exactly. And we aren't just being kind to people because we have the agenda. I'm going to do this for you because secretly I want you to do it for me. And it's nice to be helpful for others. But once you notice that dialogue, that inner, but I'm starting to resent this. I'm giving and giving and giving. I mean, I think it's a good sign that there's something waking up in you. It's like, hey, wait a minute. What about me? Well, but then it's like, well, are you asking for what you need? We don't read minds. And so look for healthy models and get some coaching. I mean, I had to get coached on to how to be direct. I knew how to circle around things without really being direct about what I needed. And I catch myself still sometimes. And then it's like, Svava, you can ask for what you need or for what you want, even wanting something, you know. Yes. And ask for it, because how else will anyone know? Even God, I mean, he reads minds and hearts, I know, but it's better if you speak it out loud. You can be by yourself, but learn to ask for it. And if anything, my relationship has gotten better now that I'm direct. My husband was very frustrated. He's very compassionate and has been very patient with me, very loving. But he's like, hi, honey, it would be so much easier if you could just ask directly for what you want, So I'm like, what concept?
And when we have compassion for ourselves, then we recognize that it's okay to have needs and wants. Yes. But when you don't have any compassion for yourself, then you're not going to judge your own needs and wants as valid, or you even having them or asking for them as valid. So again, for me, I just see it keeps circling back to, that bedrock layer of compassion and self-worth. And when we have that, from that, truly, I believe that every other building block of recovery sits upon that. It's really hard to stop blaming yourself for your abuse. if you don't love yourself. It's really hard to have good, healthy relationships if you don't love yourself because you don't think you're worth it.
Yes.
It's really hard to take care of even things like flashbacks and sleeping at night because you think you deserve them because you don't love yourself. So it's that foundational issue that you talked about earlier about something all of us can do no matter how much money we have. And I have survivors come to me all the time and say, I need help, but I don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any insurance. What can I do? What do I do? Mm-hmm. And I tell everyone that it's free to develop a sense of self-compassion. It's free to educate yourself about abuse and recovery. And it's free to be in community with survivors, other survivors, and get that benefit. And I truly believe that if you can get those three things, a self-compassion, education, and community, you can make a lot of progress in your recovery. Those three pieces, and they're all free.
Thank you, Bobbi. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I have promised myself that in 2016, I'm going to make a ruckus about how poorly the mental health system supports trauma survivors. Mm. And, we sometimes we can't even find a therapist that's trauma informed. Our doctors aren't trauma informed. There aren't enough therapists. Therapy isn't affordable. We're going to have to do a lot of work on our own, like you're doing.
Yep.
With this summit. Survivors are going to have to rise up and become lay leaders in your community. Yeah. In order for everyone who's out there, millions and millions of people, Svava, who have been abused. And they all need help. They all deserve help, no matter how much money they have. And if I have anything to do with it, it's going to change.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Bobbi. This is why, I adore you, and you already do so much, and you and I speak the same language. And I know you, like me, it's like once you figure something out, it's like, oh my God, people need to know about this, and so, we put on, conferences or summits or, and I started because I was getting frustrated exactly how I felt like I was being stigmatized by, people in the helping profession. Of course, there's a lot of good people out there doing really important work, but this is a cultural issue, and there is something is shifting. I can feel it, and it's coming, but you're absolutely right. That's what I tell all my clients. Listen, my agenda with helping you is that I need your help. None of us is going to do it alone. And I know if you get inspired and you find the truth about how really powerful, you are in your own life, you'll be like, wait a minute, others need to know I can do this. I can take my power back. I can feel compassionate and like move the people in my inner circle to know the truth.
Yes.
And go make a difference for others. And that's where I think the compassion piece is that like the thing that really unlocks, wait a minute, I'm not in this alone. And if I can do it, you can do it. And can you only imagine what we can do together?
Yes. Yes. I think one of the most often asked questions I get is, do you think this is going to get better, Bobbi? Mm-hmm. Am I going to get better? Is this horrific pain that I feel every day going to end? And my answer is always, unequivocally, yes, if you do your work. Yes, yes, if you do your work. Because it does get better, you know. And for some of us, like you mentioned earlier, it's not about recovery, because my abuse started when I was itsy bitsy, so I didn't have anything that I'm recovering. Instead, it's about building, you know, building a life. And it takes us a while. I'm going to be 50 years old in February. And I finally feel like I'm in a life that I love and adore. I'm in a career that I adore. I have a son who is my world. I'm pretty excited about turning 50. I'm very excited about it. And like I said, 2016 is going to be the year of making a ruckus. And it's going to be a very joyful ruckus. And it's going to change lives.
And I love that. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear you say this, because I'm turning 50 next year too. And I'm so excited. You know, it's like, oh my God, it's going to be such an amazing year. Woohoo, right?
Yeah.
But,
yes.
You know, I just so appreciate all that you have shared. And I also know that the way you're helping the people you're helping, and just your heart and where you come from, like I said earlier, I know why this topic is important. Compassion is your middle name. I'm surprised it's not on the screen here, right? But it's like, it's when we go and we create ruckus from compassion, because we know what's at stake. And it's not just for us, because when one of us suffers, we all suffer, even the people that don't, you know, trauma intimately, or think they don't know trauma intimately.
Right.
It is impacting
Right.
their lives. It impacts all of us. You know, you and I are here on our blogs. So I am so excited to see what ruckus you're going to make next year. And if I can help in any way, I'm right there with you. And we're going to start the next year with this, you know, when people hear this interview, it's going to be January. So we're off to a good start.
Yes, yes. 2016, the year of the joyful ruckus.
There you go. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. And the good news for those that are listening to this summit, they're going to be hearing from some of the top leaders in trauma and recovery and healing, all the very same thing. You can heal.
Yes.
The pain will end.
Yes.
Those research, hard facts behind it. It's not just and Bobby chatting about it. It really works. But then again, like I say, I'm nothing special. If I can have or feel about my life and who I am today, you can too.
Yeah. You know, and I think we talked about this on the last interview, but you know, when I was in the thick of my recovery, I was in and out of psychiatric wards. I was homeless. It got bad. Mm-hmm. But I'm here.
Yes.
And so if you're someplace where it's bad and you're looking at it, well, you know, you guys are both, you know, middle class women who've had, you know, help available to them. No. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been to hard places. And homeless yes. in and out of psychiatric wards is a hard place. So we've been to hard places and we come back from hard places.
Yes.
And you can do it too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just love chatting with you, Bobbi. But you have a very exciting gift for our listeners. Why don't you tell them a little bit about it? And there's going to be a link right underneath this interview for people to access that.
You bet. I have put together an ebook for survivors called Cultivating Compassion. And I love compassion, but I love the word cultivate too, because it's about cultivating is about, you know, you cultivate a plant. So how do you care for it? How do you feed it? How do you make it go really big and strong and tall? You know, what's the miracle grow for growing compassion? So it's Cultivating Compassion, the care and feeding of compassion for survivors. So, and talking all about these are strategies. This is why you should do it. This is how you can do it. And this is how you can help other people do it. Because once I figured out how to grow my compassion plant, I'm going to help you and you're going to help them, and you're going to help them, and you're going to help them.
Yeah, it's just like a plan. You can clip up a little piece, and I'm going to send it home with you.
Yes, exactly. And put it in the water, you know, in the cup, and
Yeah.
the roots come down, and then you put it in dirt. So yeah, let's cultivate some compassion.
Awesome. So we can all join you in your next year.
Yes. Yes. Join the joyful ruckus.
That's awesome. And also, before we're up here, but I want you to tell our audience, because you are all over social media, and I absolutely love that about you. Like I said, I don't know, you are hardwired into some really big energy, because I don't know where you have, you know, the compassion for all of this, but trust me, I kind of know who's in your back corner. But why don't you tell our audience where they can find you and all the places?
You bet. We do 2 Twitter chats a week. And so my Twitter handle is Bobbi L. Parish. Somebody took the Bobby Parish, so I had to put my middle initial in there. So we do a Twitter chat on Mondays at 10 a.m. And the hashtag for that is CSAQT. And we started that one primarily for our UK audience, because we have so many people in the UK now who want to chime in. And that's 6 p.m. for them in the evening. Mm-hmm. And then on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, there's our second Twitter chat. And that's the hashtag sex abuse chat. And then on Monday nights is when Athena Moberg and I do our live Google Hangout. And we combine it with a Twitter chat. So you can pop online, watch us on our website, No More Shame Project, and you can tweet us using the hashtag No More Shame, and we will answer your questions on air. And every week we do a different one about a different topic. Last week we talked about secondary trauma. This week we're going to talk about resilience. Mm-hmm. And then all of those episodes you can find on our YouTube channel, Trauma Recovery University. If you have a Roku device, we have a channel there. And then after the first of the year, we are launching them all in podcast format. Nice. And Svava, I can't believe this, but we have 75 hours of content that we're going to be uploading to iTunes. And we're so excited because that's a whole different audience. You know, those are more millennials. So we're so excited to reach a new community. And then you're more than welcome to friend me on Facebook, Bobbi Parish. And then we have Trauma Recovery University. And we have multiple secret Facebook groups. So if you want to join one of our support groups, friend me and then send me a message and I'll get you plugged in. Because it's important and you deserve it.
Yes. And no need to feel alone any longer.
No, you know, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, both on the client side of the desk and on the helping professional side of the desk. And I've been through a lot of groups, but the groups we have on Facebook right now, oh my word, they're incredible. The way that they love and support each other from day one, I've never seen anything like it. Aww. And I want anyone who wants to be a part of that to be a part of it.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Well, I always knew, you know, from starting to following you and watching you, that you are a gift and a blessing. And like I said, you put out so much energy and your giving, generous heart. And I'm sure you will have lots of people from our audience coming your way after this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for your generous time here and sharing from the heart your compassion and how you're helping others find that important piece to the healing journey.
Yes. Thank you, Svava.
You're welcome. And then to our audience, thank you again for joining us today for another great interview. And I hope you stay tuned for tomorrow. Check your email for another set of 2 more interviews. Have a great day.